Hello YouTube world, Johnny Mo here, coming to you with episode number 4. From one employee to 2 crews, how we did it. Before we get started in that, I want to let you know that I did lose a pound last week. So my weigh-in video is in this one right here. So let's get started. Last time we talked about knowing your numbers, streamlining your business using software. We talked about, what your company looks like. So when we left off with, okay, you have a guy in the truck. He's been with you about a year. You're building your business back up. You're making good time. You're starting to get stressed out again because now you're back to working a lot. You filled your calendar up. You start answering your phone because when you have that guy with you, he gets good. He's going to start making you money. And what's going to happen is you're either going to get home earlier, or you're going to combine your days. You're only going to work Monday through Thursday, and then Friday, Saturday will be your landscaping days or whatever other stuff you put in there to keep you making money. So you've now identified your guy. He's working with you, and if this is the guy for you, here's what you want to do. I'm a big component of one-man trucks. 2-man crews, they're nice when you get in a pinch. The truth is, if you're not the boss, 2-man crews will mess with you a little bit. Especially when it comes to overtime. When overtime starts hitting, the 2-man crew starts slowing down, and the profit on the lawn, goes away. And if you're a solo guy out there right now, I really do encourage you to start doing time studies on your lawn, time in, time out, so that you can know exactly how long it takes for you to cut that lawn. And not only for you adding employees in the future to know how long it should take, but also the profitability of that customer. Is that customer profitable? Do you need to raise your price? Do you need to drop her and go get somebody else? These are very key things that you have to decide to do early on if you're going to grow your company. So you got your guy. He's been with you for a year. You're humping, and now you've got work, and now you're getting overloaded with work, and stress is starting to come in, so you want to hire your laborer now. What you want to do now is you want to hire a laborer, and how we did is I broke off to 2 crews. Is what I did is I sent that guy mowing Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday by himself. I split up the days so that he can do it in about, between 7.5 hours up to 9 hours of mowing a day. And then I took the other guy with me, and we went landscaping, and we would landscape. And on Wednesdays we're always too big, so I would mow. We'd put everyone together and just blow through that mowing, because we did 2 HOAs. They were huge complexes. One took 4 hours, the other took 4.5 hours, and then we mowed a development with a couple huge complexes in there too. And so we blew out all that mowing in about 10 hours in that day. 10.5 hours, and that was our long day, was Wednesday. Now, if it rained or we got behind, then I would jump in the truck and help them out. But generally, that's how we did it. We built up the landscaping side, the landscape maintenance side, so big that we could actually have, me and another guy running full-time over there, and a full-time guy mowing. And that's how we did it. Now, the thing is with this, is you have to have good employees. Once they start hitting overtime, the profitability of the lawns, just hit the bucket. Now, I want to talk to you about, that's how we did the 2 crews. We're just not big enough in this town to have 3 crews, or to have 2 crews with 3 guys in each truck. You'd lose your tail, There's just no getting around it. If you'd put 2 guys in a truck, one making 15 and one making 10, and then by Friday afternoon they're on overtime, and you've got 5, 6, 7 hours in overtime, that Friday list is shot. You're not going to make any money because you got one guy making over $20 an hour. You got the other guy making $15 an hour plus 26% in taxes. Just going right out the window. And I mean, it's just not profitable. So if you're going to remain profitable in this business, you have to really watch your hours and different things. And I was very good on hours. What I would do to cut back some hours sometimes, if the hours were going through the roof and we had a landscape project that was taking us too long, what I would do when the overtime got too much, I would actually jump on the mowing crew at the end of the day and try to, scave off some hours that way, just to keep profit at a high. You know what I mean? Because listen, when you're working 65 hours a week and your employees are working, 58, 60, 55 hours, that's 15 hours overtime every week. You add that up. It just starts tearing. And these are things I'm telling you my story so that you can start thinking about these things right now. So that you can start putting it in your head. How are we going to do this? I did different things to shave off time. If it was going to be a light day of mowing, I would go take care of it myself and just be like, hey man, take the afternoon off or something like that. Because you got to shave hours. You got to cut the trim off. You got to trim the fat sometimes. So just some things to look forward to. Really know your times, guys. I mean, you got to understand. You got to know your times, and you got to know if that lawn's profitable. You gotta think as the owner of the company. See, profit is the only. It's the wins and losses in this business. If at the end of the year you broke even, you didn't make any money. All you did was take money from one hand and give it to someone else in the other. I'd rather go work for McDonald's. Oh, but I really love what I do. Well, then cut back what you do and make it profitable. When you're dealing with employees, you're dealing with American employees. You're going to deal with some serious stuff. So let me go into a little bit what happened, why we had to drop down. So we ran this way for 3 years. I had my foreman for 5. We ran 2 crews for 3. It took about 2 years for me to finally, okay, he's good enough to do what he needs to do. Some things that came up right away. As soon as I got out of the mowing truck, instantly calls started coming in. Johnny, is everything okay? I don't think he's doing the lawns like they used to be. And I have to go out and check the lawns and walk the property with the customers. They just wanted stroke. They wanted to know everything was going to be all right. See, when you're in a rural area, you're not in a big city, these people are used to seeing you as the boss because, when you were always there, they'd come out, you'd always talk, you'd always be with them, and then all of a sudden, you start putting people in the truck beside you, and they get nervous, and you have to comfort them. And some things that you're going to have to deal with, you're going to have to answer the phone sometimes and deal with complaints, whether they be, just imagined or the real deal. Maybe that person did forget to blow the back patio off, So these are things you're going to have to deal with, some things that will come up. So we're into my 5th year, running 3 years, 2 crews. We're doing well. We're humping it. We've just built to the max of running the 2 crews, so we're back to working 55, 60 hours a week again. So I'm ready to make this next jump, and then go ahead and put another crew on. That's what we were about to do. I don't think that I would have made money, but at the time I was working so much, I was desperate to do it. I was going to put, maybe have the guy I was working with start doing landscaping on his own, and then start, mowing a half a day with another person, training that person. So, that's what we were considering on doing. I really don't think it would have worked around here, but we were getting so busy and I was getting so wore out. What I didn't know is my foreman was getting wore out, and he was taking jobs on the side. So the last year he worked, if those of you know my employee handbook, I did a video on it. You're going to need employees. What happened was I had to write him up a couple times that year, and it affected his bonus. I didn't think too much of it, but this one day, about a month before he was fired, he came to work, and he got out of his vehicle. His boots were all unstrapped. He didn't have his pants buckled. He didn't have a lunch, and I'm like, dude, go home. You're not working today. You're not bringing that atmosphere here. He was like, I just had a bad day. I just want to come. No, you're not doing that. No, you don't have a lunch. You don't have any water. You're not prepared for anything. You weren't even ready. You just crawled out of bed and came, and now you want to bring that attitude. Just go home. So I sent him home, wrote him up, sent him home. And remember, that's part of my package. You got to come to work with a good attitude and ready to work. What's ready to work mean? You have boots. You have uniform. He didn't even have a uniform on. He didn't have Johnny's mowing shirt on. He didn't have them washed. I don't even know where it's at. Stuff you're going to have to deal with. I'm making you think. I want you to think deeply. These are some serious things. We got work coming out the yin yang, and we're trying to, we're trying to get this work done, and guys are coming with attitudes. So a month later, he came back. Next couple weeks, he was okay. Well, he came back to work, and on a Saturday, we had to go out and finish a landscape job, and he didn't show up. He didn't show up to work. And so I called him. I was like, "Hey, dude, what are you doing?" And he was like, "Well, I slept in. My fault. I'll be there as soon as I can." And I was like, "Well, what's as soon as you can?" He's like, "Oh, give me a couple hours." I'm like, "Give you a couple hours?" Like, if you don't show up to work and your boss calls you and you're like, wouldn't you be like willing to rush out the door and hurry up and get? He's like, "Give me a couple hours." So he's basically 4 hours late. I wrote him up. Affected his bonus, and I kind of knew at this point that this relationship wasn't going to work, and he was just like, it was bad attitude the rest of the day. But I'd already wrote him up, so I wasn't going to do it again. So I let it go. I was like, let's just try to get through the year. We might have to, make a change next year. What happened is he never showed up to work on Monday. And if you've seen my video on the employee handbook, if you do not show up for work and you don't call, you're fired. No, you're done. That's it. You're over. So I never got in contact with him. I do pay out on Mondays. So I left his check on my back, the picnic table in the back, and when I got home the check was gone, so obviously he knew enough to come get his money. So the very next day he came back to work and was like, "Hey, let's just try to finish out this." I said, "No, we're done." And he's like, "Well, how are you going to finish? How are you going to finish your work? You need me. You got too much work. You'll never make it without me." Those are all things that are automatically you're fired in my book. You know what I mean? Because I was here before you. So obviously I did need him, but I was like, you know what? I'll work sun up to sundown to get the work done. And that's exactly what I did for the next 2 months. I just went at it. In 2013, I went sun up to sundown. And, we fired him, and I had to shrink the business in 2014. Here's the thing, though. I shrunk the business in 2014, but because of all the tips I learned from being so big and learning how to manage crews, we became so efficient that I actually, even though I shrunk the business, I actually did only lost $1,000 from the year before. So I was only $1,000 smaller, but we're so much more profitable because of all the lessons I learned from 5 years of having employees like that. And now we are so efficient. We know exactly how long it takes to do things. We are so efficient now. It's amazing. Like, we don't mow first thing in the morning. So what we do is we go out at 8:30. We'll go prune a job up for a couple hours, and then stop that what we're doing. We'll be back tomorrow to finish it. Then we go out and mow. And then we do that, 5-6 days a week. Obviously we don't work on Saturdays. We do landscaping on Saturdays. We just became so efficient at that. And that comes with experience. And that's where you guys are going to have to, you're going to have to be very efficient when you're running crews or when you're running employees or when you're running your business. I mean, honestly, you throw so much money out the window when you're not efficient. Everyone, is like, why would you go out and shave hours off your time? It's only a few hours here and there. But you're throwing money out the window when you're talking about overtime. Well, I talk to a lot of landscapers, and they all say the same thing. Well, I don't pay out overtime. We don't pay that out. Well, how do you get away with it? Because I know you're working 60 hours a week. What are you doing, paying it under the table? Well, okay. Well, here's a bullet. Why don't we give that to the IRS? So you tick off one of your employees, right? Okay. You tick off an employee, and then he becomes an ex-employee, and then he turns you in for not paying him time and a half overtime. And then you got the IRS. What did you do? You just gave the IRS. Well, you know what? We pay salary. Really? You get away with that. The employees are going to take salary. Let me tell you the secret of what they're really doing. We're going to pay salary, but then I'll give you a few bucks at the end of the weeks. Well, here's another bullet for the IRS. Guys, just do it the right way. You do not want to give any ammunition to the IRS to come get you and shut you down. Just do it right. You know what I mean? Pay your guys what they need to be paid. Don't give bullets out. So that's my story. That's as big as we got. That's about the biggest guy in this town runs 2 crews, one mowing, One Landscaping. He's on the landscaping crew. Our town doesn't support it. I don't know what your town will support, but I tried to tell you my story. I gave you some tips on what to do. We're a very profitable business. We do make a lot of money in this business. We've been in it. I've been in it for 19 years, and you know, running the employee handbook is good. Go back and look at those videos to see how we did that. Also, you know, just look at different things. You know, the biggest tip I can give you if you're going to run employees is to sit down in your office right now. And if you don't have software, go get it. I don't care what you get. Go get something to streamline your business. And to know your numbers, to run the timesheets. As you're a solo, what would I do if you're solo right now? If I was solo, I would be running the numbers. Is every one of my clients profitable? Because if they're not profitable now, just imagine adding a guy making $15 an hour to that equation. You know, then they become really unprofitable. So these are things that you have to think about. Time studies. Is Mrs. Smith profitable? Is Mrs. Jones profitable? Is Mr. Natal profitable? I mean, are all these people profitable? And if they're not, you know, you need to raise the price up a little bit. How we raise prices is we do it in $2 increments. You know, we try not to go above the $5 mark. So say you bid a lawn at $30. You know, over the next 5 to 6 to 7 years, we're going to get that lawn to $40. But we'll do $1 here, $2, $3. But people have trouble when you're at this price and then it goes over a $5 increment. That's what I found out after all these years is if you got them in at $35 and you know you want to try to get them to $45, it's generally not going to work. You're probably going to lose the lawn. But a $2 here, so now you're sitting at $40. Now you're sitting at $42. Wait a year, wait 2 years, all of a sudden you're at $43. Wait another year, and now you're at $45. Now you're at $45. Don't move it. If you have the customer for 10 years, then you can start the $2 trick again. You do not want to try to bump a customer up unless they're really not making any money from $40 to $50 in a 5-year period. You're going to lose the customer because they're going to get tired of the $2. So what I do is I'll hit them with $2, wait 2 years, hit them with $1, wait 2 years, hit them with $2 to get them where we need to get them. These are the little tips, tricks of the trade that I've done. Again, 19 years, very successful business at this point. So that's my time. It's the end of this video. That's my story. You're going to go through a lot of employees, especially American employees, to find the one that you need. And at this time in my life, we're not going to be building up the business to go 2 crews anytime soon. Now, I'm not saying I'm done with 2 crews. I'm just saying at this time, with my schedule, the way I have it with my daughters and my wife, we're not going to do that. But in the future, we may do that again. And it's worked out well. As long as you watched your time and you watched everything, you kept an eye on the profit, and it works out well. And you can make a lot of money doing it. You can make even more money if you're in the bigger cities and you don't have to put up. Everyone's used to the hustle and bustle, and they're not going to complain if you're not there. That was the biggest thing that first year is, man, it just seemed like I was getting complaints left and right. And, once I got back on the crew, started mowing again, then it was, no complaints went down to 0 again. And, they just wanted to see the boss. And that's what happens when you cut grass in a rural area. It's what happens when you start out, doing it. So that's the way it is. That's how we did it. I gave you all that information. It's priceless information, man. Honestly, I could have really wrote a book on this and sold it, just to be honest with you. I mean, there's a lot of people that do not know how to go from 1 person to 2 crews, and there's no videos out there. I've checked, and if you go follow through this video section, you'll see how we did it. I mean, this is good stuff. And, I didn't joke around this video. I tried to give you as much information as I could because I know it's a serious topic. And I really wanted to, pound home that fact that you have to know your numbers. Your customers have to be profitable before you add someone to your business. You can't guess at this. This isn't something you want to take a chance on. Okay, well, I think we're profitable. I think we are. No, you can't do that here. You've got to know your numbers. So if you're solo right now, I'm going to tell you this one more time. I want you to do a time study on all of your customers. Time in, time out. Find out the profitability of each customer. And then start either raising the price or replace them before you start hiring your guys. Because if it's not profitable with just you there, it's definitely not going to be profitable with Joe Smo with you. And then to add another crew, you know, you're going to be off the wall. You'll just be losing your butt, and you could lose your business. And even worse, you could lose your house. Because once you get to that size, there's like a persona. I mean, once you start having 2 trucks in your town, one going one way and another going, there's actually a stigma, like you're proud, or when you go to a restaurant and you guys decide to all meet up for lunch, and there's 2 trucks and all this equipment, and then you walk in with your shirt. You got to watch that pride doesn't set into the point where it just ruins your perception, and it skews things. It almost makes it look like, you know, I'm profitable, but I'm really not. You can end up out of business and divorced in this business, and I don't want to see that happen to anybody. You know, there's guys that I know personally that it's a dog and pony show. You know, they got 6, 7 trucks, and it's silly. You know, they're making no money, and they're out there. They're putting a show out there, and it's a show. I don't want you guys to be a show. I want you guys to be profitable. I want you to live a good life, a free life. And, you know, so this wraps this series up. Next time I come to you, I think I'm going to take a little bit of a break. I've got to get in touch with all my customers. So my next video, besides my weigh-in video, is going to be my newsletter, or my letter to my customers that I send out every year. And then along with that letter, it sets up what we're going to do on that property for the year. So when I do my letter, I'm going to let you guys see how we do it, and you guys can do it too. So until then, man, really appreciate all you guys out there, you know, watching all these videos, and I'll see you next week. Bye, guys.